When we first tell people that we uprooted our lives and moved 1,000 miles away, their first question is always why? And to answer that, we have to go back a little bit. Last August, we came to Maine for the first time. We had never been here before, and we really wanted to see if we liked it and just see the place for ourselves and see if it felt right. Our goal was pretty simple. We wanted to just take a normal, relaxed vacation while also seeing as much of the state as we could. So we split the trip up into two parts, the north and the south. In the south, our destination was Acadia National Park, and in the north, it was the Forks. There we stayed at the Northern Outdoors Kennebec River Campground in a cabin tent. Coming from Michigan, we knew it was going to be a long drive, but it did seem doable in a single day, at least on paper. Since our first stop was in the north, we decided to go straight through Canada the whole way. We'd cross the border in Detroit, go through Toronto and near Montreal, and then eventually hook down and enter Maine through the north at Highway 201. The trip was long. Once we got through Montreal, we really didn't see civilization again until we were at the campground, really. And that was just a small little town. The scenery slowly got more and more beautiful throughout the day. After we got through Montreal, we did make one last stop at a gas station before doing our final push. Those last couple hours of the drive were definitely the most difficult, not only from fatigue, but also it got dark earlier than we were expecting it to. Thankfully, we were able to get through the border pretty quickly with no issues right around 8:30 p.m. And that last hour, we white-knuckled it and only had one freak out each and made it to our campground by about 9:45. We had finally reached salvation.
We made it. Late arrivals. Let's see if she's in here. Grid party.
Grid party. I don't remember my name, but we got here. So it is our first official day of our vacation. We got in really late last night, so we really didn't know what the campground looked like. We knew we were well in the woods and it was really, really pretty. So what we woke up to this morning was the most amazing surprise. It was just the most peaceful moment. Waking up to this incredibly calming rain, laying there for hours, and opening up the door to find that we're on the riverfront. It was just the most perfect way to wake up.
For our first day, we wanted to take things a little easy and didn't have too much planned. Lex had read about a waterfall in town called Moxie Falls, which was a short drive from our site. After a pretty quick hike, we were at the falls.
Okay, so we made it to Moxie Falls, which is incredible. The hike out was really pretty. I got so many cool videos. And then when you got close, you can start to hear the waterfall. Maine is incredible. We love it here. We finished up with our hike at Moxie Falls. Got some amazing videos that I'm very, very excited to edit. And now we are, yeah, good? Now we're about to head down to a little spot just down the river there. And we are going to take our little bag chair, and this is what the stove is in, but the stove is cooling down over there. So we filled it up with like cookies and books and stuff, so we can just hang out and not have to carry everything. So we're just gonna go sit down by the river for a little while and yeah, relax, have some dessert, and take a little moment of rest this afternoon. Okay, so we're at our little spot. We have gotten set up here. And I am very excited because I'm about to do like a little video from right here because this is just so gorgeous. And we're just gonna sit here and chill and read and eat. Great.
Great.
So that didn't end up working out very well. The water level rose super high, super fast. So we ended up having to move up here, as you can see, Lex. We had to move up on top of the little hill away from the water. And now I am trying to get this shot again, now with that as the background instead of just the water, which I think is turning out really good. Quick tonight. After we recorded those videos and hung out by the water for a little while, we ended up going back up to the main area here, like the lodge. So we went back up there for a few hours to charge everything, and we downloaded a couple shows from Netflix. And now it's about 8 p.m., pitch black. And I am boiling some water for Lex to have tea. We made some chicken fried rice before we left, so I'm just gonna put it right in that pot there and heat it up, and then that'll be our dinner. And then we're just gonna get ready for rafting tomorrow, which will be super fun.
The next morning, we got up nice and early and walked over to the lodge to meet our rafting group. We signed in, did our quick safety briefing, got our equipment, and packed onto the bus for the 40-minute trip. At this point, I decided to leave the GoPro behind to really enjoy and be present for that experience. I know it makes for a less exciting video, but it did make for a really enjoyable trip.
So we just got back from Whitewater Rafting, but we had a little bit of a break, so we came back to the tent. I changed. We just wanted to get out of our wet clothes so we could enjoy the lunch a little more, which is like, it's going to be a good lunch. We're going to kind of regroup and head back up there in just a minute.
That's one of the quietest confidence in a moment. The eyes have gotten a little bigger. There we go. Zach's boat with an uncalled for hold on. That's all right.
So I just took a really nice shower, and as I was doing that, I left Lex's phone out to take a time lapse by the river.
We spent the rest of the day enjoying our campsite, once again sitting by the water, going for a walk, and then finally heading up to the restaurant at the lodge for dinner.
It is our last day here at the Northern Outdoors. It feels like we just got here and now we're heading out already. But to be fair, I do feel like we've done everything that we wanted to. We've been able to wake up to this every day, which has been just incredible. So today what we have going on is it's our last day here, obviously, so we are packing up camp. It's like maybe 8:45 right now, and our goal is to be out of here by about 10. And today's kind of a travel day, so it'll be half and half. So we'll have our morning here, we'll have our breakfast, kind of hang out for a few minutes, pack, like I said, and then we'll be driving about 3 hours south, or I guess southeast, down to Acadia. So this will be our first time seeing Acadia today. And it'll be really nice to kind of be back in civilization again. I mean, this is incredible, and this is worth what you sacrifice. I am gonna miss the solitude that we have here. I mean, we've had no neighbors this entire time. And I'm sure that Acadia will not be like that. But my God, look at that view.
After 3 amazing days at the Northern Outdoors, we packed our site up and headed down towards Acadia. And And while it was less than a 3-hour drive, it probably took more than 3 years off my life because it might have been the most stressful thing I've ever done.
Wow. This looks insane on the camera.
Well, it feels insane.
Our navigation took us on a back road that cut across the state that was pretty much just a 2-track dirt path for 13 miles.
Okay. It's getting worse.
And keep in mind, we're driving a Honda Civic with 5-inch clearance to the ground and no engine cover protecting it. Not to mention, we once again had no cell service, so if something happened and the car broke, we would just have to hike at least 10 miles to hopefully find a person. And if that wasn't bad enough, it had also been raining for a few days, so the road was pretty worn, muddy, and parts of it were washed out.
It's just rough terrain ahead.
Yes, but look at the car we're in.
What do you mean? Exactly. I'm looking at the car that we're in.
After we had white-knuckled our way through about half of this drive, we came across a pretty serious issue. There was a dip in the road that the car couldn't handle. We kept bottoming out, and eventually we had to get out of the car to assess the problem and see if there was anything we could do. We realized that we needed the wheels to not dip so far down so that the nose of the car would stop getting wedged onto the little hill. So we started collecting every flat rock and piece of bark that we could find and piled it up to make a makeshift ramp. After about 15 minutes of being stuck in complete wilderness, we finally managed to push through and get the car out. Whether it was our MacGyver solution, wearing down of the dirt over time, or the fact that we just got fed up enough and finally plowed through it, I'm not sure exactly what got us through, but I know in that moment, I was more relieved than I've ever been in my life. From that point, the rest of the trip was pretty uneventful as we just continued on downstate and eventually reached our destination of Acadia. So that's the first part of falling in love with Maine and ultimately deciding to live here. It's so cool to look back on all this footage and re-experience all of that again, knowing what I know now. For example, that river that we woke up to that very first day in Maine is now the river that we live on. Let me show you. There it is. This is our home. This is where we live. Of course, that's just part of the story of how we ended up here. For the next few weeks, we have a lot of exciting things happening, so I'll be posting all of that in real time as we do those things. The second half is going to be posted on July 19th, but in the meantime, keep enjoying your life. We'll see you next week.